So, like I promised yesterday, tonight I would be going through some Enduracers cars, like I promised
on the Le Mans track,
and I'm getting
tonight,
some
very heavy feedback.
I would be
Don't worry,
going
I'm
through
solve
some
that for you like that. And I'll now have to check out where that feedback is coming from. It seems like it's coming from a Facebook test here.
And we're gonna
go ahead. Well, what I'm fiddling around with here is, like you can see on the screen, I'm trying to go live on multiple networks here at the same time, and it's very hard. And it's right now it's trying to connect the YouTube stream, which is actually the most important stream, and quality from here seems to be good, but it's still connecting on YouTube Live. And it shouldn't be connecting anymore because YouTube Live says itself that I'm live now. So whatever it says here, tonight I'm using something called Restream.io, and that should allow me to be live on YouTube, Twitch, Periscope, and Facebook at the same time. So that's actually well, it's new to me that this was at all possible from one stream. So anyway, the point of tonight's session is testing the Enduracers GT Cars for Air Factor 2, and we're going to test them on the Le Mans track. And you could say this is kind of a preparation for GTR 24H. So if any of you out there are preparing for the biggest 24-hour LAN event sim racing race, then maybe this is a good way to maybe follow up on your setup, so what cars to choose and stuff like that. So let's go ahead, jump straight into it. I of course chose the very first car on the list, which is the Aston Martin, and in game I don't believe it's called an Aston Martin. What are we racing here? Yeah, it's the number 15W. It's the 2015 WEC Aston Martin Racing Aston Martin. So, and the only thing I'm going to change, we're going to keep it running at 60 liters. Going to test all the cars at 60 liters. So nothing to change here. Then we are going to change at first only the gears, because this will absolutely rev out the gears. We're going to reduce front downforce to 1, and we're then going to find something appropriate on the rear wing. So I'm just going to start with 3, because that should produce a slightly understeering car. So let's try and lengthen the 6th gear here. I know it's going to go to almost 300, so let's just set that at 300 and then move up the rest of the gears. And I know that first gear needs to go to somewhere near 150, so maybe something like this would be good. In fact, let's just go with that. All other settings we're not gonna touch initially. Let's see what happens. Now I'm fairly excited and I really want to see how much. Now I'm not using a capture card at the moment, and I can really feel that seems like something's wrong, because I'm only getting about 40 FPS and I used to get about 100 here. But at least it's not terribly chubby. And there was a way to see how much load we're putting on the computer, so we are just about maxing out the CPU, so I am guessing that I will have to do something about this. Sorry, I was focused on the wrong window in a browser here. Well, it's just I've got a lot of things going here. Now I'm just gonna have to use a little bit of time and figure out what is stealing my processing power here. See now. TeamSpeak's using a little. rFactor 2 is using 20%. Open Broadcast software, which is the program I'm using for streaming this, is using about between 15 and 20. And that's about it. That is actually about it. The biggest stealer at the moment is that apparently some sort of Windows software thinks that it's supposed to use up to 15% of my CPU power at the moment, even though I'm streaming and playing a game. I don't know what it's doing. But we are going to have to stop that. And we're gonna have to go ahead and close down some Windows services and hope that everything here keeps on running. It doesn't look like it did. I think it just did stop the Chrome service. And I actually think everything else is now running how it should. And I'll just try and get everything here hooked up to go in the right place at the right time. Let's escape back to the garage here, and I know now you can see my picture here, and I'm ready to go again. And let's go through what I changed on the setup once more. So in general here, all I did was adjust the gears so it can go 300 kilometers per hour, then reduce the front downforce or splitter to 1, and then set the rear downforce to 3, because that's going to give me, I think, a little bit of an understeering car, and that's where we want to have in the beginning when we're testing. And then I didn't change anything else. So this is as much a test of the basic setup of the car as it is a test of how to set up the cars on the track. I'm I'm still going down into the 30s on FPS, which is really super annoying. So what I may have to do is quit all these extra tools, and then I'm getting another 10 FPS. Well, I can live with this. This is raceable. There's really no lag here, input lag or anything. So I think we can race with this.
Limiter off. Push it, push it.
At least let's try it. Second gear, good speed through here. Let's take a lot of, just need to take a lot of curbs there. You need to take a lot of curbs in the Dunlop chicane. And you need to take a lot of curb in up here in the Tête Rouge. I'm getting a lot of grip. Now I'm comparing this to a car that I know, which is and have raced before, which is the Porsche, and that definitely does not have as much grip as this going through Tête Rouge. Pretty confident during braking, but a little bit of a, I don't believe that was a power oversteer. I do actually believe that I was sort of a neutral oversteer. When I then pushed the throttle even more, it just accelerated back. Alright, maybe we shouldn't wait for the red lights before shifting. It does seem like that is really, really near the rev limit. It has some initial turn-in oversteer on the slow corners. I thought it was really great at the Tête Rouge where it's a faster corner, but in the middle of both chicanes there, it doesn't want to turn in, and when you then force it to turn in, it's like it's suddenly oversteering. It's not when I'm on the throttle, it's when I'm transitioning from braking to throttle. It just suddenly goes bad. But let's get some heat into the tires first. Wow, it really likes to turn in the really slow corners. Nice. I don't know if you can hear me for the sound here. I'm just gonna adjust that. Just gonna try and set that to pick up less volume from the game. And I think we're good. And do I have... No. Okay. Don't hope we scratch the car now with me trying to set the volume.
Now coming up on the Ford chicanes where you really need to use the curbs too. And that's a tough one because you will be trail braking into the first part of the chicane there pretty hard. And if the car can't keep the balance there, then you're pretty much screwed. Braking while turning up here to the Dunlop chicane too. And it doesn't like that.
Tire temperature's okay.
Other than that, it handles curbs nicely. Look at that. Great handling on the curbs. So 6th gear at 270 kilometers per hour. 280. Can we make it 290? No. 88. Wow, that just goes berserk turning in. If you're just trail braking just a little bit, it'll just turn in like mad. And it does seem that now that the tires are getting harder, it does seem to transition some of the grip forward. It does tend to get grippier and grippier on the turn in. Don't push it with too much throttle early there, or it's gonna snap. I wouldn't say this is easy to drive, but it feels fast and it feels predictable. But you can have something that drives really slow and really bad and really predictable still. Now, as you can see, the time comparison here is in the top is a comparison to a lap I did in the Porsche, and I'm way slower. Not just a little, but really much slower. To be honest, I need to check out that I have the boost on 3 I did. So to compare, we need to run the same boost setting. And now I am. Looks like everywhere I'm losing time is in the tight combos, and then I'm able to gain just a little bit during the acceleration. And it also feels like this car has a lot more grip. Ah, the understeer. I think we're running too much wings though. Understeer. Oh, dangerous understeer. And we're still not faster through the Porsche curves than, even though it feels way more grippy, we're still not faster than a Porsche because we had too much understeer. Hit that curb, hit that curb. Get in there, hit that one, and go to the right, and hit the throttle.
The lap was a 4:06.36.
4:06, and I should be able to go 4:02, 4:01 in order to make a competitive time. It's dangerous to get on the throttle too early. That could be cured by adding some power differential. And power diff lock. And we're having some high speed understeer. Makes the car predictable and easy on the curbs, but still. It would be harder to drive with using the rear wing, but it will definitely be faster. Top speed is definitely not good. I hit the gears so. I think it's okay. But to be honest, if you want to be competitive in this race, all you need to do is go 405 times for 24 hours and not make mistakes. And I'm pretty sure you'll win the GT class. And this car is definitely capable of doing that. See, faster all the time through there than in the Porsche. No! That was just a coming into the corner, slow rolling oversteer. And anti-roll bars, a little bit of coast differential lock. Maybe the differential is just not locked enough overall, which could also help us balance out the car with a little less wing and still make it easy, predictable and drivable. So I'm getting used to the car to a point where I'm pushing it more and more.
4.79.
Now the tires are really playing along now. And we're actually, oh, I was minus 0.1 there for a moment. But it's really playing our way now. With some heat in the tires, it's actually going pretty great now. It does, however, look like we need a little bit more differential lock, and then we need to reduce some rear wing. We may need a little bit more anti-roll bar in the front. It is just a tad bit aggressive on the turning in the slow corners. And we definitely need more top speed. Now I'm not gonna go into the strategic business of this and into the economics of the cars, but I think it's safe to say that none of the cars will perform best while in an endurance race while running with boost 3. You really need to turn the boost down and not run boost 3.
You're faster in the second sector by 3
Ah, braking too late. Well, let's go back to the pits and try some of the changes that we've discovered might be necessary. So
sector 2.
less rear downforce because it doesn't want to turn in the faster corners in the Porsche curves. We had some dramatic understeer. We're then having trouble powering up out of the slow corners, which we can cure with a bit of power lock in the differential. We then have some troubles braking into the corners, which suggests that the differential just isn't locked enough overall. So let's give it a couple of clicks on the coast. Then we need to look at the suspension of the car, which is right now set up so that the springs are equal front and rear. We then need to add a bit of, we can either add front anti-roll bar or deduct rear anti-roll bar. In my opinion, this is a bit, you know, you never judge a car by the experience you have from other cars, but in my opinion this seems a little bit high, so it seems more logic to turn down the anti-roll bar in the rear instead of turning it up in the front. Doing those two things has the same effect. Anti-roll bar and the effectiveness of it is a result of the difference between the stiffness of the anti-roll bar on the rear and the front. So either turning it up in the front has the same effect as turning it down in the rear when it comes to balance while turning. It does not have the same effect on the responsiveness and overall control of the car. The more you deduct your anti-roll bar, the more the car is going to lean to the sides and roll when you're turning. And that just makes it harder to change direction quickly. So you don't want to run a completely soft spring car without anti-roll bars, even though that's going to give you plenty of grip, because then the car is just going to want to keep, if you started turning one way, it's just going to want to keep turning that way, and then when you get it convinced to turn the other way, say you're going through a chicane, left right turn, then when you push it and you try to force it to turn right, then it's going to suddenly shift over, and then it's going to really like to turn right. So it's a balance all the time. I think for now we did all the changes that we need to do to this car. It's running more fuel. I ran with 25 liters when I got the times that we're comparing to here in the comparison meter in the middle of the screen. I had only 25 liters on that car, but it's still running, what was it, 3.5 seconds slower than the Porsche, and I think that's too much. I think this car, as we tested it before, was still too slow. So let's see what this does.
Limiter off.
Now if we get within 1.5 seconds now of the Porsche time, I'd say the cars are pretty balanced. And I suspect we will do. And then there's the tweaking of the dampers still. And now this is more like it. It has all the turnability and all the grip from before, but it's just not as understeering. You can just throw this into the fast corners like you want. Really nice. So 288 was the top speed last time. Now coming through Tête Rouge this time I wasn't on full speed, so it's gonna be a couple of kilometers per hour slower now than when we get up to racing speed, but it's gonna reach 290. It's gonna reach about 293 or 294 next lap around when we get some heat into the tires and we can go much faster through Tête Rouge. I'm just gonna check here to see where the brake balance is at, and it's way, in our opinion, that's way too far forward. So let's move that back. Let's go something like 57.43 and see if we can still control the car. Now what happens when you... Oh, strange. What happens when you run the brake balance too far forward is that with these heavy braking on Le Mans from say nearly 300 to about 120, sometimes less, what's going to happen is that you're putting all that energy into the front discs, and they're going to overheat, and then they're going to start to fade, and then it's going to start to grip more on the rear, and when that happens it's going to lock up the rears, and you're going to turn around and find yourself going backwards. Either that, or you're a really competent driver and you get to learn the car, and you get to learn when you need to throttle up during the braking procedure, so that when the front discs get hot and start fading, you start applying throttle, and then you sort of overcome the movement of the brake balance to the rear by applying engine power. That's not really effective, but it'll work. I've driven cars and we've done setups for cars that are flawed in that way, that the brake cooling balance and the way that you need to set up the brake balance of the car is really it's really broken as much as you can't do anything else. Oh, that was not the kind of turn-in I was expecting. So removing the anti-roll bar from the rear may not have been the right choice. Whoa! That was a bit of this direction shifting trouble. And the only thing we can do to compensate for that is driving harder springs and harder anti-roll bars. I really need to check out the brake disc temperatures. So let's let's show some data on that. Now that it's not really that spread. I saw something like 480 on the rear and 520 on the front. That might actually be too cold.
You're slower in the second sector by 810.
Now that was a lockup on the rear wheels, so
Watch for the yellow in sector 2.
57.43 is definitely not effective for me. Now I think we may have a flat spot here.
Cold break. Tire temperature locked.
And we kind of ruined the tires for this test. Yeah, heavy flat spot. So let's not waste any more time on that.
Are you okay?
And then let's try and go back with the rear anti-roll bar. Soft tires, brake bias, let's just set it in the setup to 58. 42. Now this is not excessive changes from the standard setup, so it's not really changed a lot. Sorry, I'm just gonna have to run through some of the websites that we're broadcasting here to check out for possible comments. So let's remove that. So let's check for possible comments, and there really is just one, but you can only see the Facebook page. Well, that was a while ago, since I was just fiddling around with the processing power and everything and trying to get everything set up. So that was one comment from Facebook, and then let's check out what we got on. What do we got on YouTube? Nope. No comments so far. And then I should also have to check out Twitch this time, because now we're really into it and broadcasting all over the place. Yep, sure we're live. But I think on Twitch it's live comments too, so I don't think I'm getting the comment history in here. Nope. Nope, I'm not. So that's kind of sad. So power of my PC at the moment doesn't allow me to stay online on Twitch and keep answering any possible comments. So that's a bummer, but yeah. Well, let's close all this down. Checked out for comments. Not really anything to answer at the moment. Shut all that down. And where were we? Looking at, let's go full boost mapping here. Yeah, that's really it. Let's go test some more. as far as these cars go, it's really, really easy to do setups, and the standard setup is pretty good. So if you want to race them, basically you don't really need to do anything else than just set up the right amount of splitter and wing, and you're pretty much good to go. Given that the right amount of splitter and wing is pretty much always going to be lower than you really think it is. It would come as a surprise to me. Whoa, that just wants to keep turning around and around and around and around. We really need to bump up the suspension on this. So, and we really can't, there's not really much more to do here. So let's try and keep bumping up the anti-roll bars too. Now the problem about keeping to bump up the anti-roll bars is that this ties the left side of the car to the right side of the car. This makes a connection between the suspension arms in each side, and that makes it hard or harder for one side of the car to work independently of the other. Now you can imagine what happens when you go over the curbs and get all these small vibrations on one side of the car. Those are going to go straight through the anti-roll bar and induce vibration on the outside wheel too, and that's bad. So many times when people have problems on curbs, it's because they are running stiff anti-roll bars. Now let's see if it's drivable still. Now, a lot of other people have been complaining about the issue that we just saw, that once these cars start to turn, they just want to turn, and it appears it's something about some inertia values in the physics files of the cars that's, well, the opinion is that they're set way too high. So the car has way too much inertia compared to what the car is weighing. Now you can see the car is not leaning very much. And it also seems that the car is much stiffer on the bumps, and it just wants to keep on turning. Now I think we're gonna have to try and solve this by deducting a little bit of springs in the rear and keep a little bit in the front, because it does seem like it's oversteer that's happening when that's not really a fast corner. I would say that's a mid-speed corner. So when I'm going for adjusting balance of the car on overall, I'm going on the suspension, on the spring rates. So less spring rate means more grip.
Turn off limiter.
Still, like last time, it does feel very, very nicely squared out. Much more planted. Feels like undulations in the track just comes through the steering wheel much sharper. I feel more connected to the road. Definitely this car needs to run it really needs to run near the toughest springs that you can put on it to be optimal, no doubt about it. Does tires feel a little bit more lazy, and the rear end seems a little bit more happy, but let's get some heat into those tires and then let's see what happens. Because we're running really cold tires at the moment. Let's keep it on the tire temperatures. Still does seem a bit like it just wants to keep turning when you're mid-corner. Maybe still a little bit too conservative on the coast differential lock. Wow, a little bit late braking there, but that certainly did put some heat into the tires. A little sliding. No flat spots though, so we're okay. Now it does. I do think we've lost some grip in the corners compared to. Oh, that just wants to keep on turning. Now, actually, let's try and look at that. Let's try and look at that from the outside. Let's go to the full screen camera here, and let's try and find. Let's try and find that situation. There we go. Let's go backwards and then see that from the outside, and then an angle like this. Well, let's go slow motion here. Let's see what happens. So I'm turning in a little bit early because the car's understeering. You can see the front tires here carving away. It's still understeering, and then oop, at the middle of the corner it just starts oversteering, and I'm reacting. I'm on opposite lock here. So that actually that happens in the middle of the corner. So turn in, steering pretty nicely in the beginning, then understeer, 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 hitting the curb on the inside. Oh, throws the car completely off balance, and now it's oversteer, 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 and I'm back. I'm actually back on the throttle before this happens. Let's look at the bars in the left down corner. That was the brake. So here we're braking full power, starting the turn, trail braking, 50% braking, then backing completely off, turning in, understeering, 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 back on the throttle, 80% throttle, and it just starts oversteering. So that's part driver error, but partly I would say this is curable by adding more power lock, so we can make this more predictable. Let's add that to 80%. Let's try again. Now, do bear in mind, I have not even started using any Motec or telemetry or anything yet. I'm just driving by the seat of my pants and what I see happening on the screen.
Limiter off. Push it, push it.
Now, from what I felt on the exit of the Dunlop chicane there, this car is getting pretty dangerous on the curbs right now, because with all those springs, those very, very hard, stiff springs and no damping, that's going to make the car want to keep oscillating. So we need to fine-tune the dampening to remove some of that oscillation. $90, $91. That was top speed so far. Great turn in, great exit. Now the tires are not up to heat yet, but I would say already that this is the best the setup has been so far. So we're making good progress. That was nice. That did feel really smooth and on the edge. Very nice. Very nice handling. And, well, it's definitely less than before. But it's still pretty bad. I'm hoping that'll go away when the tires get up to heat. Wow, definitely lost a lot of grip in the Porsche curves here, but it's not as understeering as it was before. Look at that. So, when I'm good on the throttle here, it's actually steering through there pretty okay. Whoa! That was some brake balance induced dramatic oversteer. I think we're gonna have to go ahead and succumb to this 5941 original setting. Look at that. We're faster than the Porsche for this section now. Oh, too fast. Coming in. Losing time again now. Dramatically. That's gonna affect us all the way down the straight. But we may actually be faster than the Porsche on top speed now. But the way that works is we have to get there before we're faster. Better braking. So if you're really good at braking, there's at least something to be gained in this car. Acceleration, a little bit. Top speed, not so much. Cornering, a lot.
Your tire temperatures are okay.
I'm gonna say grip and cornering. This does at least have the upper hand on the Porsche.
You're faster in the second sector by 7/10.
Nope. That was nowhere near optimal. Now that we have a little less downforce, I really have to think about braking earlier than I used to. That cost us at least another half a second.
Tire temps are okay.
I was trying to play with moving the brake balance further back, but I'm guessing the car says no, stop it. I would have expected us to be able to keep the bar green all the way through the Porsche chicanes, but that's really not what's happening.
The lap was a 4:03.70.
You just set the fastest lap. You're faster in the first sector by 10.
That was a bit dangerous on the exit there. It's still a lot better than last lap. Nowhere near perfect, but it's still progressing better and better, and the car can take that kind of abuse now. That was actually massively much faster than the Porsche. Did I just gain something like 0.2 of a second through that chicane? I think I did. We're losing a little bit again here on the top speed. This does seem more calm and more controlled now than the Porsche.
You're faster in the second sector by 5/10.
a little bit again there on the braking. That's really the strong side of this car, is braking ability, and that's going to help you massively while in traffic on this track, and tracks like it, where you have a lot of overtaking opportunities in the braking zones. So it's maybe not it's not the fastest car, but it's a good competitor.
Your tire temperatures are okay.
That was a massive time loss for their driver error. I'm sorry. Got a bit of it back right there.
Brake. Your tires are hot. Tire temps are okay.
Whoa! I was going to say let's try and throw it a bit aggressively through the chicanes, but we don't have the dampers.
02.78.
We don't have the dampers for that yet.
Great job. That was massive lap. You're slower in the first sector by 3 tenths. Cold brake. Tires are hot. Try to cool them down. Tire temperatures optimal.
Now it's eating away rear tires, so that's not a good thing. Now I do think that the rear tire issue, no matter what compound you're running on, it just seems like that's a problem with all the Enduracers cars. It does seem like when you set up the car neutrally and to handle, you know, like be a fast race car, it eats up the rear tires. Oh, sorry about that. That's driver error. Well, what we could do is to go in and start setting up the suspension now, and see how much we can do. At least we want to take all the suspension settings and at least make them stiffer in the front than the rear, so that at least we lose grip in the front when we're going over bumpy ground. We don't want any oversteer when it gets bumpy. It's going to be unpredictable. Well, I'm not going to do much else to this setup, and you've seen how the car handles now. You've seen it can be fast without doing very much to the setup. So let's just AMR basic. Let's save it like that, and then let's see what time is it. Yeah, we got time to test another car. So let's leave the track and let's start up a new session. Same server. I'm on the GTR 24H 2017 teaser server on the Le Mans track. So if you're watching and you want to join me on track, you can just join that server. So while that is loading,
just want to surf a bit around here. So we got plenty of people watching on different channels here. No questions yet though. But I'm guessing if you are into sim racing, this is pretty self-explanatory. So next car up after the Aston Martin is naturally the BMW. So let's take the newest BMW, which is the 2012 BMW RLL number 55. Let's load that. Load it up. Richard Hounslow is asking on Facebook what game it is. It's R Factor 2. So let's go in and check the setups. Don't change any fuel settings. Go to general. Go low on the downforce. 1.3. Set up 6th gear to get to 300 kilometers per hour. That is about right there. I think we need just one more click. Set up the other gears, spread those out. In here we need first to go to about 150, because that is basically the speed in the Anarch corner. So that's really close setup here at the bottom. I think we need it like that. That looks nice and evenly spread with a little less gap at the top end. Not touching anything. Full boost. Not touching anything here. Not touching anything here. Ooh, brake bias is really far forward. So wonder how that is gonna handle. Anyway, that is the same as we did to any of the other cars. So let's go with that. Oh, it's not enough to minimize that. I really need to close all browser windows because somehow Google Chrome is just eating up processing power. For reasons I don't know. Well, this is, of course, still a V8 engine as far as I know, but it's revving more, so naturally, like a BMW would, it's sounding more girlish. Now this feels much, it feels slower and more responsive. I don't know how to explain it, but it does feel like I need to move the steering wheel less in order to get the same. Wow, it's a drift car. And we're on a drift again. Hey, how far does this rev up? I think we need to rev it all the way up there. When's the limit? That's the limit.
I think of all the cars, this is the high downforce car. I need to turn on the virtual dashboard because I really can't see the speed and the gear that I'm in properly. So compared to the Aston Martin, which was 292, I think, at the top speed, this does seem not to have that much top speed. And it definitely don't have the brakes yet, but that could just be the temperature. Now it does seem that if I want to run a higher top speed, I need to go down on even further on the rear wing, and I don't know if that's gonna do any good for this car, because it already wants to drift in these fast corners. It's really not particularly nice. Gears seem a bit long. So it goes 214 in third. So I think the graphics and the gear ratio adjustment are that well, that's an understeer. If it ever was one. And come on, turn, you German boat. It's not as bad when I'm on throttle, but it's a huge problem that when I need to lift off because it starts to understeer, it gets even worse. So definitely need to go lower coast on this one. Well, it's definitely a much better result than the initial result on the Aston Martin on the basic setup. So it's both faster and more reliable. But we are really gonna lack on the top speed here. Massively. Come on! Well, there are things we need to correct on this car immediately. So let's go general, let's notch it down on the coast, bob it up a bit on the power. And then let's see the gears, it's at 214 in third, which is, and that's not entirely wrong, but we need to move these down a bit. Maybe like that would be better. Suspension wise, I don't have any complaints yet. But now comes the interesting part. Turning it down in the rear downforce. I think we can go as low as 1 on this car. And I also think that with a bit of tinkering we can go as low as 1 on the Aston Martin too. But yeah, let's see. Ah, Casper is on track.
Limiter off. Watch out for slippery tires.
Always watch out for slippery tires when exiting the pits. Wow! On cold tires, this is a perfect D1 drift car. Look at it go. That may still be a little bit long in the tooth.
Tires are cold.
Now we may actually be breaking the 292 in this car now, but it just still does feel like, yeah, we're gonna get 291. It still doesn't feel as fast as the Aston Martin. And I feel like I'm sitting way up higher. Can't get the seat position more. Can move myself a little bit down here. That's a little bit better. Good tip if you're new to sim racing. Always in sim racing, you're racing from inside the cockpit. Anyone who's racing from anywhere else is not a sim racer. It's arcade racing, racing from bonnets or wherever you're sitting. Race from the cockpit, and then in R-Factor and every other sim that has it, assign buttons to adjust your seating position. So you can get the optimal position in the cockpit. Right off the bat, I would say this is an easier car to set up than the Aston Martin. It feels easier to drive. And for comparison between the Aston Martin, the Porsche, and this car, the Porsche is by far the hardest car to drive of all of them. Hello, understeer. Hello, understeer. I think we can go as low as 1 on the rear wing.
Brake. Your tire temperatures are okay.
It's not as good on the curbs though as the Aston Martin, but it's jumpy and we're not even at the maximum stiffness of the springs, but it still seems jumpy and unpredictable. And if I should hazard a guess, this car's of the three, the Porsche, the Aston Martin, and this BMW is the fastest car around here. Now, whether it's good for racing depends on the fuel consumption and the tire consumption.
Yellow flag in sector 2. Tire temp are okay.
Oh, don't touch the curbs. It needs, maybe this does quicker get into sort of a competitive setup, but then if you really want to make it like perfect setup, it takes a lot of tweaking.
Yellow flag in sector 3.
Like it keeps being really, really twitchy on the small bumps and on the curbs. And you just didn't feel that in the Aston Martin. So tweaking dampers is definitely going to be easier in the Aston Martin than this car.
Your brake pads were low. Tire temperatures optimal.
It really turns in great. So I turn in too early. In a nosh. Well. Now comes the understeery mess with this setup. That is the Porsche curves. Oh, oversteer!
Push it too quick. Wait for your tires to clean.
That was the bumps.
You lost a part
That was
of the
caused.
car.
That was definitely caused by the
You
dampers.
have a flat tire. Yellow flag in
So I
sector 3.
suspect the rear end is over dampened. Oh, we got geared here too. I suspect the rear is over dampened. So let's try and just reverse this. Like so. Let's go a fast rebound. Let's set that a little bit lower in the rear and a little bit higher in the front. Like that. Let's look at the high speed understeer by reducing the wing. And I do actually, I really wanted to try and go lower on the coast, but I don't really think it's a good idea. This might be a huge jump from 2 to 1, so let's just see what that does to the car. Maybe it's affecting it big time, so. Lights on. And maybe 6th gear might not be long enough now. Now we're in the drift car again with the cold tires. So watch out! Drifty McDrift is on the way. Let's just take it easy and let's not go overboard with the drifting. It actually handled that curve there quite nicely.
Cold brakes. You have
Am I running any TC? Nope. Let's continue having it that way. Better on the top speed, better on the handling in general, I would say. That was really nice. Didn't seem to stress out Casper behind me. But that was a really nice chicane there. Though I didn't gain much time on him since... Well, he's basically been a semi-professional race driver in real life, so I don't have any ambitions to be faster than him. I think he's always going to be faster than me. But at least if he's running on a 90-liter fuel tank with medium tires, I at least have a bit of a chance.
Your brake pads are low. Your tire temperatures are okay.
That handled massively much better than the Aston Martin. That was a problem in that car, exiting slow corners all the time. And we had a very high diff lock setting on it, and still it was bad. I'm looking forward to this. Nope. Understeer me to hell and back again. That was bad. Can we get less wing on this? And then when we get on the throttle, it seems like it still has enough power to start inducing oversteer. So there's a huge difference right now between power, between being on power and off power in the faster corners. Now it's really hounding me. Oh, that was dangerous. Well, we saved it anyway, but he's too close. He's in the magic draft distance, so there's pretty much nothing I can do down here. He's just gonna flip by unless he's starting to push me. Pop drafting. It's not easier to drive on cold tires. The Aston Martin has that one, except for the exits of the slow corners. But overall, this is faster. No doubt about it. Oh, that was... Well, it's sort of interesting. it's still the grip on the bumps, so that if you start to get too aggressive on either bumpy pieces of the road or curbs, it still seems like it. Well, without looking at the Motec data now, I'm gonna say it feels over dampened at the rear and under dampened at the front. So what we are just going to do to try and compensate for that is just turn up here, and we still need to keep this balance here, so the fast rebound needs to be the highest, and then we can set it like that, and then try and go extreme here on the rear, and that could be a solution. It could also be a solution to try and fix the understeer to actually go a click lower on the spring rate in the front, and that could just be our last piece of setup changes to this particular car. I have to keep watch of the time here, because we can't keep going all night.
Turn off limiter.
Limiter off, lights on, ready to race. Now let's try and attack the curves here. Let's try and go out and over here on that one. Let's try and go massively on these and do something that should cause massive instability in the car, but it really doesn't right now. That feels great. That's really good. I think we just about got it.
Cold brakes. Cold tires.
That was a decent exit out of Terre Rouge, so let's check the top speed. If I can keep the wheels still here. It's 91. Well, I could have made it. I could have braked a little bit too late there and made it touch 292. So top speed is at least as fast as the Aston Martin now, if not faster. And that really still, we need a little bit more setup work with the Aston Martin and try and drive that on on the lowest possible wing setting too. I was braking a little bit too late, so it threw out the rear end of the car. Now I'm just gonna shuffle over here and look at the brake temperatures to make sure that wasn't the front discs overheating. That's too much, too little power lock. We need a bit more power lock here. Like that. Oh, sorry. Let's save the setup. Let's not risk anything here. Save that. Let's go. BMW Basic. Yep. So I'm going to put up these setups in on my Google Drive, and I'm going to link to those on the YouTube video in the description, so you can go and test them out for yourself. Lights on. Limiter off. Now let's not be too aggressive this time. Let's try and make some nice laps. String a good lap time together. Wow, it's turning in very, very nice. Now see, that's a good omen for the Porsche curves understeer. Yeah, that was actually turning in so well that I got a cut track penalty. I'm interested to see how this is going to handle. Sorry about that. How this is going to handle when the tires get hot. Wow. Now, that just wants to keep turning and turning and turning, but it's not like the Aston Martin where it feels like you can't force it to go the other direction without starting up something like a tank slap or a fishtail action. It still feels responsive when it's doing it, so. As a driver, I can just try not to provoke it, just stay within the limits. And then that becomes actually very drivable. Still, I think first and second gear might be just a little bit too long. I'm excited to see how this is going to go through the Porsche curves up here. Oh, hello, oversteer, and then a little bit of understeer, and then barrier, and oh, I've lost my wing, and a flat tire. Do I really? Do I really?
Watch your speed limit in the pits.
60 kilometers an hour through this. It's just painfully slow.
Brakes on.
So let's just go ahead and
3, 2, 1.
bring out a new car. Oh, sorry, time's too late, and I'm not gonna continue this. I'm just gonna go ahead, and you're just gonna have to trust me on it that this setup is definitely capable of going faster than the Aston Martin, and perhaps even beating my personal best in the Porsche. So
So far, BMW,
best car. Overall, it's quite a bit difference between the feel of the different cars, and quite a bit difference in the way they need to be set up. The only one thing I have to complain about for now is that the extremes in spring rates not far enough, extremes or the setup, possibly extreme end point setup options for stiffest springs and softest springs. It's not enough room there, not enough leeway. Anti-roll bars, same thing, not enough settings, not far enough from the softest to the stiffest. And I think that's just a general problem all over the place. Dampers, you know, how much is this really changing? And if the maximum, if it's a max of 6 different steps, then, well, not enough, to me, not enough leeway. That's not enough setup options. This needs, I want to be able to make the car the perfect car, and if 6 is not enough dampening, I need to be able to push that up. I need to be able to give it more dampening. So that's annoying. When you know the car can be better if you could just have more dampening, and you can't because that's the way the guys that created this car set it up. It's totally unrealistic. How could you not in real life be able to change out your suspension to something with more dampening? And in what world is that ever going to happen? You can make it dampen so hard that it's incredible. You can also remove any form of dampening completely. So this is, well, it's just unrealistic, and that is about the only complaining point I got about this. It is the end points or the adjustments of many things on these cars. It's just not, they don't leave enough room. As far as I know, the tire pressures are pretty much optimal from the beginning, so that's another good thing. You don't have to sit and adjust tire pressures for huge amounts of time. Brake bias, very far forward in the beginning, easy to drive. Brake ducts, great settings from the beginning. The basic setting can handle Le Mans in all of the cars that I've been driving so far, which is the Porsche, the Aston Martin and the BMW. So I suspect it's like this for all of the cars. Tires, not so much to say. I think it's copy of other R-Factor 2 tires, so that is about as good as it gets. They are, though, not as prone to sudden overheating as many of the other tires. So I suspect this is somehow a different or newer tire model thing, tire physics, than some of the other cars. Anything else that I gotta say? Yeah. Seems really weird that, especially with the Porsche, that the optimal setting for downforce is always 1 in front and 1 in the rear. So something wrong there. I know that GT cars generate a lot of the downforce from the diffuser and underbody, but still, seems weird that the optimal setting is always as low as possible, or at least it seems like that for now. Other than that, power settings, why can I only go to 80%? Why can I not lock this differential more? Is there any way in the real world that I could not add either a thicker oil to the differential, or, you know, limited slip differentials work in different ways? It might be springs that I could just get harder springs. Is there a way that I could not go all the way up to almost a completely locked differential? Nope, not really. That's not realistic, and it's not fun. You need to, Enduracers, you need to change this, like many of the other setup options. Now, as far as going down, I can't go lower than 30%. Why can I not go down to a completely open differential? It means there's some sense in that you can't make the difference between this any higher, but then when I go lower on the power, I should be able to go even lower on the coast. So a restriction between these two, power and coast, that would somehow make mechanical sense in a way that if you have a lot of power lock and that sort of limits the overall ability to unlock the differential, but it's not even dependent on each other. You just can't go to the real extremes of this. Again, why not? Why are you limiting us in this way? What are you trying to achieve? Well, that's about it. Boost, though, and the economics does seem really nice. But from my experience so far, the only viable option is really to go on Boost 2 when you're racing, and Boost 3 is just for, qualifying and hot lapping. And then Boost 1 seems to be the only option where that's actually viable, is like when you're behind a safety car. So you go Boost 1 when you're behind a safety car, Boost 2 when you're racing normally, and then Boost 3 for qualifying. So basically it's just pace car, racing and qualifying mode. At least that's my 2 cents. Somebody else might find that they make, you always have to calculate which setting makes you go the most laps during 24 hours, since this is basically preparation for a 24-hour race. So you might find that your driving style is suited more to a more economic setting, and that one is really your race setting. But definitely Boost 3 is too uneconomic. It's not a racing option at all. Well, that's basically it, and that'll be it for tonight. Really great driving cars. They provide great action. Only downside is the setup options. Why are we limited? I don't know. That's it. Subscribe on YouTube. youtube.com/ I forgot my channel's URL, but just go ahead and search up the Man Hobby channel and you'll find it. And you can go to the website that's down below on the stream here, and there you'll find a lot of other videos, and you'll find the possibility to sign up for a newsletter so that you may get an email when I have new videos in the different categories that you like and subscribe to. Other than that, really nothing more to add. It's been really nice. It's been nice testing the cars, and it's very nice to see all you guys watching on all the different platforms that I've been live streaming on tonight. That's really rewarding to me to see so many guys enjoying what I'm doing. So thanks for that. Press the like buttons, press the different subscribe buttons, follow whatever is out there, and I'll try to keep you informed on what's happening. Bye bye.